I return. All right, let's make fun of Pirate Software again.
Originally, this was a measure. Before I dive into what this video is, let me tell you what it was going to be.
What was it?
Originally, this was a measured look at an indie game by a, at least currently, controversial content creator. Let's dive into whether the game stands on its own merits, or is just an excuse to bolster dev streams. My thoughts amounted to something
If
like
else.
the pixel art is decent and sometimes even the humor lands, but Heartbound often assumes we care more than we actually do, showing us flashbacks and characters so cryptic, we'll have no idea whether they're implemented well until the final release. Again, that's what I was shaping up to say. All of that changed when I did one area that seemed almost engineered to make you dislike this entire game. Actually, I'll go further. This level seems engineered to make you hate game preservation, because if that means preserving all games, it would include immortalizing this terrible, terrible segment.
Even all the bad games. So we can learn. Actually, yeah, that's it. So we can learn from mistakes from the past. So we may not repeat them again in the future.
I do not wish anything bad on Pirate Software or
I
people
do.
who like his videos. If you're watching this and you enjoy Pirate's content, great. I hope you're not in the EU, but great. But I cannot in good faith say I enjoyed this demo. Though I do not envy the act Heartbound has to follow. It's clearly an Undertale-inspired game, down to even the sound effects. So
whoa!
It's going to be compared to not just Undertale, but games like Omori.
I'm gonna tell everyone this is Omori.
Deltarune and One Shot.
It's literally
become so celebrated for their ability to tug at the heartstrings. Any newcomer to this space should rightfully feel intimidated. Before we talk about the infamous part that changed my mind, I guess I should briefly talk about the other parts of the game, so you get an idea of just how much of a dip in quality.
Coconut Doggy. I like this. I like this a lot.
Start right at the beginning. We open with main character Lore, who seems like straight up.
I get it. Lore. Thor, very subtle.
Out of a Friday Night Funkin' mod. Amidst a thunderstorm, he converses with his dog Baron and agrees to give him food later.
What the heck, a talking dog?
Baron gives off positive, upbeat vibes, a good foil to Lore's laid-back demeanor.
Is that Giga Chad?
At him to take the garbage out, and just to see what would happen, I put it in Baron's bowl. To the game's credit, I still feel bad about this.
Garbage. Wow. That's pretty messed up.
The Damn. Isn't going to wow you, I don't think, but the character portraits in particular are expressive, detailed, and give us a more personal glimpse into the cast than most games like this would allow. Fun fact, the color scheme for this game is readable in all forms of color blindness, so no one is safe. Now you might be thinking,
no one is safe! That's awesome.
What were you talking about specifically? Well, length. Because shortly after this, Baron disappears, and that's the hook for the rest of the adventure.
I mean, you fed him garbage.
Immediately, we have some problems. The impact of losing your dog falls on deaf ears when we spend but a couple minutes with him before he's stolen.
Yeah, like, why?
Here, but can you imagine if maybe the first 30 minutes of the game were spent with your dog, letting you build that relationship up before it was taken away from you? Despite how much I'll lambast Heartbound in this video, the writing is competent enough to make such a segment not boring.
Fair.
I'll even admit I laughed aloud at several parts of the game, though. Most of the time that was from the surreal facial expressions, not the writing.
The Deep Woods.
Spending more time with Baron at the beginning is not the objective solution to Heartbound's opening being good, but I do think it would have helped, as there's no substitute for just spending time with a character. Shortly after Baron disappears, we saw
Why should I give a shit? Why should I give a shit?
I guess this is as good a time as any to discuss how the combat feels.
Oh boy, time for the combat.
This is one of the only two identical fights you will have in the entire demo. Yes, you heard that correctly. Almost all of your time in Heartbound is spent talking to NPCs, playing dull minigames, or doing what amounts to chores. As for the few battles that are actually
riveting! You can tell a Blizzard dev... You can tell a modern Blizzard dev made it. supposedly.
It plays like a really stiff Punch-Out, at least sometimes. Don't expect the freedom of movement you'd have in Deltarune, where regardless of what's going on, you can move to dodge projectiles.
And graze for extra TP.
You're capable of doing in Heartbound
Very important.
depends entirely on what attack your enemy is dealing, which is a neat idea, and while none of the ones shown were particularly compelling, I could maybe see some banger minigames making their way into the final product. I do not think
If that's
every
ever gonna
game like this
happen.
needs combat, but I can't count the amount of times it felt like battles could supplement what was going on. If you aren't going to add something in its place, its absence will be felt. As it stands, Heartbound feels like an RPG that retroactively had its battles removed, though I guess I'm thankful I didn't need to juggle random encounters in the tower section with everything else, so that's a blessing, and believe me, we'll get to that part. I'm
Oh
not sure
boy.
if what's present in the demo
I
will
can
be
hardly
updated
wait.
to
I'm waiting on
include
bated
battles
breath.
in the full release, or if we'll just see more areas we haven't visited, but currently it's sparse. Sometime after this, the demo lets us choose between two different areas. I go with the Autumn one. You're given a whirlwind tour of Animus,
Autumn?
town populated by anthropomorphic animals. Some are
Tonight's episode, the writer's barely disguised fetish.
funny, some are bashful, some are flirtatious, and some even grow on you. If anything, Animus was the part of the game that bolstered my hopes, making me believe that Pirate's vision of a unique RPG that breaks convention actually had some legs. And I appreciate the Austin Powers reference.
Wait, really? Who throws a shoe?
That really hurt. Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Tonally, it unsurprisingly has a lot of
That's kinda
overlap
funny.
with Undertale. There's an
At least in Austin Powers, it's funny.
ominous through line that connects everything but is easily forgotten when you talk to the upbeat characters. Though the Animus section is not without its flaws, as we get more nothing burger cryptic messaging. As I stated
Cryptic
earlier, we
bullshit.
don't know how much of the seeds being planted
Great.
here are actually good until we see the full story, but there's nothing compelling enough on its own here to make us want to know more. If we knew more about Lore himself, I think that'd have gone a long way in making me want to know the answers to the
Yeah, don't
mysteries
start it
the
in
game
N
so
media res
liberally
without
throws at us.
any
I had some goodwill that
text.
some of them would be good.
Unless you
After
know
all,
you could
we're
do
only
it.
seeing a small slice of the game. Any goodwill I had for Heartbound
Oh
died in
boy,
the
here we
tower. Okay, that's
go.
an exaggeration, but it was really bad. Jesus Christ, where do I even begin?
How is
For
it
one, I'm
bad?
devastated at how
I
devoid
wanna
of
know.
fun this area is, especially given how cool everything looks. Red, black, and
It
white
does.
as a color scheme has made many games
It does.
beautiful,
It
but
quite
you'll
does. Oh, were those Omori sketches?
grow to loathe it here because the amount of backtracking is enough to make the 1,000-year door wince. I would rather play the
Ugh.
hump-free part of Omori 4 times back-to-back with a dance pad than so much as
God
hear a
damn.
soundbite of the song that plays in this level. Almost all of your time is spent combing over office cubicles, pixel hunting for golden objects, or talking to spread out NPCs to progress the plot.
Good lord, that
Criteria
sounds
for advancement
miserable.
Isn't exactly spelled out, so on multiple occasions you might have to walk all the way to the opposite side.
Maybe
of the
this is
floor
what
again
Thor
and again
felt
just to figure
when he
out
was
what
working
to
at
do.
Blizzard
Lore
as a
isn't exactly
QA
chaos.
guy.
There are mini games here, and they are
Or a
not great,
tester, I don't
but
know.
I suppose that's kind of the point, as they do express the mundanity of a day job well enough. Some of the dialogue
I
is neat.
guess.
The faceless, as they're called, have the occasional witty thing to say when interacted with, and for fleeting moments, they made me forget how much I hated this place. The final part of Heartbound's office section has you confronting your mom, and this moment had zero tension for me. There is absolutely no build-up to this scene aside one brief flashback seconds before the encounter. I do not know who this woman is,
Oh.
I have no reason to fear her, and while I would inhale her like flowers, Lore hasn't given us a reason to care about her. She seems to be the source of a lot of Lore's angst if the flashbacks are to be believed. I like the idea of the dad wishing he did more to help his son in these situations. There's a lot they could potentially do there, I guess. Often this demo feels like the last third of a full game, expecting us to be invested in things it hasn't even shown us.
Another
I get it,
cycle.
it's
That's
not
how
the
it
whole
feels.
game. It has to set some stuff up. Perhaps much of the criticism in this video will be obsolete when, if, the game releases, but
Yeah, if that's gonna happen. This shit's gonna be vaporware. This shit's gonna be vaporware. I feel like Thor's gonna cancel this game out of spite, and you know what? Good. I hope it
I
does.
can only go off what I see. There are so many.
And even that
moments in this
description
game
was
where the
dull.
lore
I couldn't
reverts to
even
mental
think
fetal
of a
position, saying
thought.
stuff like, "No, this can't be real. This can't be happening." Like, what?
Wow, this can't
It
be
wasn't a movie
real.
demo released. There was just 4 different scenes of Basil crying. Like, why would I care if we didn't introduce him properly first? Showing grief doesn't automatically make the audience feel that. Lots of people have wondered if the entire development of this game is just a poor excuse to facilitate videos by documenting its development. Do I think that's true? I don't think it started out that way. I think this
It didn't
began
start
as a
out.
legitimate passion project and to
And then it all fucking came crashing down. It all came crashing down when he got that YouTube clout.
a lesser extent today. I think it still is. It's just that over the years, as streaming became a much easier and more reliable revenue source for Thor, he probably just eased up on development. I think he overplays how much he's working on it these days.
Man, that
Progress
is
with
actual
Glacial
Thor.
has been in development for almost a decade now.
God
Still,
damn.
it's a project close to his heart, and I wish
Actual
him the best of
development
luck,
hell.
even if I think his take on video game legislation is ignorant. The toilet paper Thor wipes with has more success than I do, but on the insanely small chance
Damn.
Thor is
That's
watching
sad.
this, I'd tell him it's fine to take inspiration from things you love, but
Yoink
when
and
it's too
twist.
overt, you invite very direct comparisons, and you're not going to beat Undertale being Undertale. Be yourself instead,
Yeah.
and develop those characters more. Subscribe if you hate love.
Yeah, and please, for the love of God, if you're, please, I know this is going to be falling on deaf ears because I kind of shit talk Thor, but fix that goddamn office part. It was just so boring. Damn, even this reaction was super boring. Oh well, more content for the content landfill, I guess.